I want to talk today about things to consider when doing Boston video production. Hey, if you're lucky enough to have office space here in the city of Boston, I strongly recommend that you consider using that space to the fullest when doing your video production projects. And I'll give you an example. We once had a client who was a consulting management company. They had gorgeous space right in downtown State Street here in Boston. And all of their video projects was done previously before working with us with a green screen. And I remember thinking, what a huge opportunity loss when you have this gorgeous downtown Boston prime real estate with all that architecture behind you. Why shouldn't you be using all of those assets as doing part of your Boston video production projects? So remember, everything in your video is communicating something about your company and your brand, your standards, and who you are. So if being in the city of Boston is something that's important to you, if you have access to beautiful space with great views out of your window, some vistas, don't hesitate to want to use that in your next video project. However, when you are doing Boston video production, you are going to have some potential issues that you need to deal with. We're not talking about the suburbs here. There's a lot of things going on. There's a lot of activities. So the first thing you need to consider when doing your Boston video production is, of course, the location. You want to try to pick a room within your office space that has the best views, and you can hopefully get the most bang for your buck when you bring in your Boston video production crew. The second thing to consider when doing Boston video production is going to be audio. Listen, when you're in downtown Boston, sound is always going to be a problem. You have sirens, you have traffic noise, you have construction noise, you have crowd noise. And that's not even talking about ambient office noise. That could be your HVAC, that could be telephone, just people talking and down the hallway. Now, another trick that can help you when doing Boston video production is actually bringing in what's called like a sound mixer or an audio technician or a sound engineer. These are men or women who just have the tools. They have not just the microphones, but they have the skill set to be able to try to minimize a lot of that background noise that can definitely impact the quality of your Boston video production project. Another thing that you want to consider when doing a Boston video production and when you're choosing a vendor, particularly these big buildings here in Boston, they oftentimes have very strict insurance requirements when you're bringing a crew into your place of business. And this is not something a lot of people are aware of. So you want to make sure that whatever Boston video production company you hire has adequate insurance. They might need to submit what's called a certificate of insurance to your property management company. Oftentimes there has to be some negotiation, but it's just something you want to be aware of, that you need to get your Boston video production crew cleared by your building management company, whoever they may be, cleared by your security, so that on the day of the shoot, they can just show up and begin doing their work. Being here in Boston, you always know parking is going to be an issue. This is always going to be a question. That's just one thing you need to consider when doing Boston video production, particularly here in downtown. Another thing you want to think about when doing Boston video production is food. So that's just one question you want to ask your Boston video production vendor, whoever they are. Does anyone in the crew have any kind of food allergies or anything like that? Just one more kind of box to check as you're planning for your shoot day here in Boston. Another thing to consider when doing Boston video production, particularly when you're talking about shooting out of doors. Of course, weather can always be an issue because we are here in Boston. So that's one thing you want to keep in mind, that could go either way for you. But let's pretend that everything's working perfectly and it's not too windy and it's not pouring rain or freezing cold. If you have a small Boston video production crew, more than likely you're going to be fine if you're looking just to get a few B-roll shots, supplemental shots outside. We have done it plenty of times. It's never been an issue. You may want to, just to kind of cover yourselves, talk to either the local police department or go down to Boston City Hall, because depending on what you have planned, you may need to get a permit. Again, sound is always going to be an issue when doing Boston video production, particularly when you're talking about out of doors. So in that case, it's really important that you have an audio technician present. Listen, it's entirely possible to do Boston video production out of doors. I've done it on Memorial Drive, on Storer Drive, right here in downtown, the financial area, you name it, we've shot here in Boston. There's just a lot more going on, a lot more crowd noise. So you just really want to make sure that your Boston video production crew is very prepared and aware ahead of time that part of the plan is we're going to be moving outside and doing these things. And just make sure that you have all those boxes checked well before your shoot day. So doing Boston video production is totally possible. You just want to make sure that you're choosing a vendor who has the experience, who's done it a lot, who knows the buildings, who knows the area, who knows how to get there, and can hopefully get in and get out and make sure can walk you through all these steps, because a lot of these things we're talking about should be decided before your shoot day so that everything will go smoothly and your Boston video production will go off without a hitch, and you'll get as much bang for your buck for that shoot day because you're spending money to bring that Boston video production crew out there. So let's make sure that we're doing it correctly from the first time, and you're going to have a great experience.